It's a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. I'm heading into work after a 3-day weekend. Got plenty of rest and relaxation. Got to spend time with family and friends, so it was really nice. Now we're back to the grind. So today I got a little bit of forward advancement in the bathroom. As you know, I have one wall switch that needed to be replaced. The receptacle got put in a little crooked in the wall, got a little bit mangled. So I took the wall switch out, took out the box, cut out all the loose material, and I backfilled it with some quick set plaster to build the area back up again. When I get home tonight from work, it should be dry. I can give it a light sanding and a second coat, and that'll actually be pretty much all I need to do to rebuild the material that got damaged. What I'll also do is put some Luan behind the sheetrock as kind of a backing, so when we put the wall outlet in there, it has a little clamp, a little toggle that swings out and catches the back of the sheetrock. Because the plaster repair doesn't have any paper on it, it might be kind of brittle, so if I add a thin backing plate, like some thin Luan, like 1/8 of an inch thick, there's enough throw on the toggles that I can clamp and kind of sandwich the wall plate flange on one side, and the toggle will squeeze the Luan on the back, so it kind of would sandwich the electrical receptacle in there. So that should be more than adequate to hold that steady. So relatively easy fix, not a big deal. Should be all set by the morning, and Steve can do the sheetrock. Here's the last couple of places I had to work to get the wall ready for sheetrock. So this is the first spot here. There was an electrical switch in here that used to do the vanity lights that were in here temporarily. That I had to pull out. And this is the box that was in there. So it was mounted in the wall against that stud like that. But the sheetrock was, all the way around it. So I had to cut the hole a little bit bigger to get the fasteners off that were on these flanges on the edges. So that made the hole a little bit bigger. Then I backfilled it with some insulation. So this one we're not even going to use anymore, because the wall switch for the vanity lights is over here now. So that's going to just get filled in with sheetrock. So here's a sheetrock patch that'll go inside of there. So that'll get fastened in there as such, and that'll get some of the drywall tape and the drywall compound, and that'll fill that in, and we'll smooth that out. So that's ready to go. Over here I took out all the loose material and backfilled it with plaster, so that just has to dry a little longer, and then that'll be ready to go. So here's a look at the opening from this side. It's not quite dry yet, because you can see it's a little bit grayer up on the top here, so this is still not dried all the way. Same thing with this edge right here. So that's a material I had to build it back up because it was crushed in, and got to smooth that out a little bit. Once that's dry, maybe put a little more compound on this edge here to get it flat with the wall. But I gotta let that first batch dry. So these is the electrical box I took out of there. The way this works is this screw up in the corner here. When you screw that in, it pulls this tab forward, and what it does is it pinches this clamp and this flange together around the sheetrock and holds it in the wall. So there's one in this corner and there's one in this corner over here. So most likely I can reuse this box. Only thing I'm looking at it, you can see this flange is nice and straight, perpendicular to this surface, but this one got bent because when it got put in the wall and it got misshapen, it deformed. So I have to straighten that back out, and the box can be reused. There's nothing wrong with it other than that. So I'll just bend that back and make sure that these toggles that clamp against the sheetrock are straight. This one looks like it's a little bit bent downward a little bit, so you got to play around with this a little bit, make sure that that's going to clamp correctly. See how that screws way out, so if it ends up being where it needs to be, see how that's crooked too. So I might have to play with these little tabs and get them a little straighter. But that's the box, and then the wires coming through the top, and this piece of metal here kind of pinches the wires so they don't, have some strain relief. You can put them in either the bottom or the top. So this is a contractor box. So these are fairly inexpensive. They come in probably a box of 1,000. I have a blue box that's in a little bit better shape, so I might switch to that. But I would prefer to keep the boxes in that they put in there, so when they come back, they won't feel like it's been, messed with. When you cut an opening in the wall for the box, that metal tab there in the middle catches the one side of the sheetrock, and the toggle on the other side squishes it in the back and clamps it around the sheetrock. So you get one in each corner, like kitty corner, and that holds it all into the wall. So this is a box used for what they call old work, where you might poke a hole in a piece of sheetrock and not have any wood adjacent to it to fasten the box, where you can just clamp it right in the hole you cut for the box. So that's how those work. So I made a little makeshift heater stand to put a little warmth on that drywall mud so it can dry a little quicker. So I got it on low. I'll aim it there for maybe half an hour, and I'll come back and check it, because I can't really trim that for the box until that's completely dry. It's a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. I left early to go up to the landfill to do a dump run on my way to work. Steve's back at home working the sheetrock and doing the joint compound and the seaming. He's going to keep an eye on the area that I patched up. I currently have a heater on it to help it dry. He's going to add some joint compound to the edges that need a little more touch up, and he'll turn off that heater when it's the right time to do that. The 45-minute quick set plaster I used will dry in 45 minutes if it's applied thinly, and I put a 3/8 thick gunk of that, to backfill the area that got crushed and broken up by the original installation of the receptacle. So it had to be built up quite a bit, and you really need that to be dry before you put the wall receptacle back in there. Well, I got me a good deal at the swap shack. I traded in a roll of bubble wrap for a sweet garden hose. Woohoo!